who started his career as a chartered accountant in the private sector and established a management consultancy firm. Then he served as the 12th governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. He was the secretary to the Ministry of Plan Implementation in 2005, also the former State Minister of Finance, Capital Markets and State Enterprise Reforms, and a Nationalist Member of Parliament. Recently, he again became the 16th Governor of Central Bank of Sri Lanka since in September 2021. So, our guest of honor is Mr. Ajit Niwad Kabral. Would like to know your experience as a leading policymaker in Sri Lankan context.
I think when I came in as the 16th governor, the conditions were somewhat different to being the 12th governor, mainly because the country conditions were different, the economic conditions were different, the political considerations were different, the world conditions were different. So we had to approach it in a different manner. And I believe the reason why His Excellency the President wanted me to take charge of this current situation was he also did have sensed that there were certain areas where we were somewhat destabilized, and we wanted to ensure that stabilization is brought back. As you know, the central bank's main role is to deliver economic and price stability as well as financial system stability. So when I was brought in, I was conscious that we should now prepare policies and implement those policies in order to ensure that we have a stable country, we have a stable economy, and that Sri Lanka's doing business would improve in the short and the medium term. So with that in mind, we developed this plan of action, which was initially set as being a 6 months plan of action, so that it was a short, sharp set of policies which were to be implemented. And I think that was the right decision, because we have to ensure that Sri Lanka will be able to provide the guidance and the advice to all stakeholders who are involved in the economic development. Every stakeholder must see and feel stability. In order to do that, a proper plan has to be presented. Someone has to show that we are in charge of the situation, and that was the reason for the policy plan that we are now implementing. And I think as a policy maker, it is our business and our duty to provide the overall guidance, and we have done that now.
What are the drivers that lead to implementing policies in the country, and how national policies add value towards the development of Sri Lankan economy?
The overall objective of national policy should be to ensure that people of the country benefit by those policies. In the economy, we have to see that people benefit from all aspects of the economy. There is the real economy, which is where you see businesses flourishing, you see buildings, you see people having jobs, you see restaurants, you see the physical part of the economy, and that is a very important part. At the same time, the economy has a monetary side, that is the rupees, the cents, the value of the rupee. We see that the rupee has the possibility of purchasing items, the interest rates. The monetary side is another very important part of the equation. The third is the government side, which is called the fiscal policy. Fiscal policy also has to be sound, so that government will be able to repay its debts, government will be able to provide the various benefits to the people, give the low income people various special benefits. All that has to be done through the fiscal side of the equation. The fifth is the fourth is the external side. How Sri Lanka deals with the rest of the world. You have imports, you have exports, borrowing, repayments, monies to come in, monies to go out. All that needs to be managed carefully to ensure that we have that part is also very well carefully managed. The fifth part is the banking sector and the transmission sector of the economy. The banks, the financial companies, the provident funds, the insurance companies, the stock exchange, all of those are the financial sector. And the financial sector also has to be sound. So when you prepare policies for a country's economy, all these factors need to be taken into consideration. It's like the 5 fingers of your hand. If one finger is injured, you'll be all thinking of that finger all the time. So it's essential that all your fingers are healthy and all your fingers are not subjected to any injury. So in that sense, if one part of the economy is faltering, you will find that the economy can be threatened. So that is why when you're managing the economy, all these factors need to be looked at together, and in so doing, we have to ensure that there is a balance as well. Sometimes when you deal with one part of the economy, the other part of the economy can be disturbed. For example, if you have we allow imports to take place without any hindrance and large amounts of imports coming, our foreign exchange might go up. But when the imports come in, they may charge customs duties, and the customs duties can go up. So there is always a balance that you need to strike. So when you're striking the balance, all these factors have to be taken into consideration. The national policies, the drivers of growth, of ensuring that people's livelihoods are preserved, of ensuring that the interest rates are not too high, ensuring that the rupee is stable. All these are sometimes conflicting positions which need to be handled carefully so that proper path is created for the economy to move forward.
What are the key factors for a successful policy to achieve economic growth? And what strategies can be implemented in order to develop Sri Lanka's economy further?
That's another very interesting and important question. Because as you know, all these are interconnected. When you have interconnected and conflicting positions, the only way that you can go forward in a positive note is to ensure that there is a balance. So that balance has to be carefully struck so that people will be able to see that there is constant improvement as we go on. People have to be also taken into consideration very, very closely. That's why sometimes when people find it difficult to manage at certain times, the government has to step in or the central bank has to step in and take the shock. But overall, at some stage or the other, we need to balance all these competing interests carefully so that no one sector is disturbed or at a disadvantage. So that will be the challenge. So that the key factors are to ensure that there is good policy coordination, good interaction between all the policy framers, and that will be what is important for us to ensure a proper continuous path of development.
As a whole, how do you think the economy of Sri Lanka can be developed to desired levels?
Yes, I think the economy, when you say it has to be developed to desired levels, there can be several parameters which can be then looked at in development. Now, I mentioned to you the 5 different areas of the economy that are that need to be given priority, and those all will have different types of outcomes that we can generate through our policy action. Now, that's important for us to recognize and to provide for in our planning, and in so doing, Sri Lanka has to take call as to where Sri Lanka wants to be in the next 5 years. What is the GDP that we would like to have? What is the per capita incomes that we would like to have? What kind of livelihood should people have? What kind of strengths should the people of this country have? What kind of infrastructure should we have? What kind of health services should we have? What kind of education should we have? In all these matters, we got to have a point of view as to where we would like to be in the next 5 years or 10 years. We normally talk about these when we develop corporate plans. We say we have a vision statement, we have a mission statement. These are all designed to show to yourself where you want to go. So in that sense, for Sri Lanka to achieve a certain degree of per capita income, a certain degree of GDP, we will have to then do our own plans to implement so that we can deliver on that. Perhaps in the next 10 years, the President has set out what he has called the visions of prosperity and splendor. Now, what he means by that is people to be prosperous. If people to be prosperous, the economy has to grow, the cake has to grow bigger. So, not only should the cake grow bigger, the pieces of the cake that each person enjoys also has to get bigger. Not just a big cake with only a few people who are enjoying. So, these are the tensions that need to be evaluated one against the other. So, in Sri Lanka's case, we have to ensure that there is regional development, we need to ensure that there is development on all sides. We need to ensure that the quality of our infrastructure is improved. We need to ensure that the people have jobs and good paying jobs so that people can live better lives. So, and that there is better healthcare, better education. Now, these will be the deliverables as far as the country is concerned. And the economy has to provide the resources to do that. So I think the strategies to be implemented that we will be looking at would be several fold. From each area, we have strategies that would be then implemented to ensure that different areas will be improved, so that together Sri Lanka will see consistent growth pattern in all its infrastructure as well as livelihood development activities.
Thank you very much on behalf of our batch for sharing your experience and knowledge with us.
He is one of the visionary business leaders in Sri Lanka and also recognized with Sri Lanka Entrepreneur of the Year Silver Award in large category. He is a graduate of University of Peradeniya and has worked in several companies as the head of technical division, and also went to New Zealand and engaged himself in the same technical fields, returned to Sri Lanka with the intention of serving the motherland, providing products to the industries, road construction, civil engineering, industrial sector, and also look into the diversification in agriculture sector. As a start, 2 ventures are started in coconut and cinnamon industries. Bitumix Private Limited, which has 6 other subsidiaries, is in the export market, bringing in much valued foreign exchange into Sri Lanka. So, he is Mr. Ashoka Sirivardhana, Chairman, Managing Director of Bitumix Private Limited.
What is the contribution of the Bitumix as a whole to the national income?
Under our company, we have provided employment to about 1,000 people, direct employment, and then our business turnover is crossing 6 billion in Sri Lankan rupee companies and about $20 million US as foreign exchange earnings. And we have contributed in many ways, like bringing in new technology and getting involved with research and development. Also, very strongly getting involved with import substitutions. I'm believing in import substitution, that is manufacturing locally what is imported from other countries, attempting to manufacture locally. Sometimes we have to import some of the raw materials, but that has been the policy and the guiding principle on my diversifications. So that's where we are, and we are continuing to do so.
What is the current situation of the manufacturing industry in Sri Lanka?
Any country to have a good manufacturing industry, there are certain factors that needs to be satisfied. That is, you have to have very good human resource. You need to have capital. You need to have technology. You need to have machinery, factory premises, services such as power, water, and telecommunication, and above all, good policies coming from the government. Good governance to have a good conducive environment for anybody to operate a business. So in that sense, we have certain very positive areas like our human capital. As you all understand, I also agree with me. We have a very good human resource in this country who are very good in their IQ and who are trainable, who can grasp things very fast, who are really going out to innovate things. So that part, I think we have a very good, although they are not being utilized in the right way for many reasons, but we have a very good human resource. And then about the other things, like I mentioned to you, the capital, technology, and machinery, all those areas, we have certain initiatives by various governments in the country, but then a long way to go. If we are really keen to improve the industrialization in the country, we need to facilitate the industries and then have a sustainable policy. There are various policy changes that happens in the country which are not very investor friendly. So if such things can be avoided, we have a very good manufacturing industry. We have gone through very difficult time during the last 18 months or so with the COVID situation, and we are still continuing to do so. But on the other hand, as entrepreneurs, we always look at the positive side of everything and trying to grasp the opportunities, not the opportunities, undue opportunities, but the entrepreneurial opportunities where we can build up with new industries, new opportunities especially for exports. So we have seen certain new opportunities coming in, and also the country is now looking very seriously about agricultural development of agricultural sector, getting self-sufficient on the food supply. So those are the new good things that has given from the COVID situation in Sri Lanka. And also Sri Lanka is a blessed country. Sri Lanka is a very much blessed country. We are very we have a good collection of agricultural products. If you take any agricultural products like our tea is the world best. There are certain changes that has taken place, but then still the Ceylon tea is a brand. If you take the tea, and we have the best cinnamon in the world. We have the spices of very high quality. We have mineral sand of the highest quality, and they are it's about 150,000 metric tons every year given by the nature to the country. And then we have good graphite, good gems, like that. We are a blessed country in that sense, but then what we haven't done is the right value addition of those things and getting the maximum industrialization on those areas. That is on one side using our local raw materials, but on the other hand, we are in a very strategically important, strong geographical location where we can make use of for many things, like as a hub on shipping and transportation, banking, and all the commercial activities. So there are so many things as positive things. So right now they are not in we are not getting the full use of them. But then things are happening, in a larger, in a small scale. Merely, I think the main contributors are the private sector entrepreneurs who are really keen to do something and build up businesses.
What were the major factors that slowed down the industrialization in Sri Lanka?
Several of them, like I would point out the major one is the government policies, and it is party politics who are really interested in winning an election rather than bringing up sustainable policies to the country. So that and also the ignorance of the rulers and the bureaucracy, the government sector in the country to get the maximum benefit of our resources. So that is one reason why we are not our growth is slowed down in the industrialization. If you take any countries like many countries like Vietnam or even Myanmar, many things are happening. Of course, there are other problems right now, but then many things are happening purely because they are really committed and geared to see the strategic advantages in their countries and getting the maximum in terms of foreign investments. So that is one main reason I see as the reason for the industrialization, the slowing down. And also we have an opportunity, being in the middle of the world map. We have a very strategic location, and where we can have lots of trade agreements with many countries. We are gateway to many big nations like India. It's a big market. Of course, there are problems involved in getting into agreements of those countries, purely because our bureaucracy and the political leadership is not. It's not today's leadership. On all the leadership have not been able to get the maximum deal for us as a country when we get entering into trade agreements. That's my understanding. Lower levels, if you go to setting up an industry in the ground level in a village, we have lots of red tapes. There are difficulties coming from all the government sector, villages, all kinds of issues. And also we have limited number of industrial parks, designated places for industries. So those are the key areas what I see as the reasons for slowing down the industrialization in the country.
But industrialization is not a major aspect in Sri Lanka that contributes to the country's economy. So can industrialization impact the Sri Lankan economy, and what aspect that need to be focused as per your opinion?
Yeah, of course. If you take the contribution to the GDP from all the industrial sectors in the country, to take the last 10 years, the statistics from Central Bank, the contribution to GDP from the industrial sector, as a total of construction, all the sectors, government and all those sectors, it's around 25-30% contribution continuously. And the major contribution to the GDP is from the service sector. So we need to increase this, right? So to increase this, there should be a very well thought out plan to attract foreign investment and also to facilitate the local industries. So as I see the facilitating the foreign investments from the BOI office, I think we need to. We have seen. I have visited many places, several countries for foreign investments, and we have seen how investor friendly those facilities are. If you go to a BOI now, we have BOI, Bureau of Investments, Board of Investments, where we have the gateway to the industrialists for the foreign investments. So when they come, they must be treated very well, and they have to be given a very good understanding that Sri Lanka is, investor friendly. But then I don't think it's happening there. From the point of foreign investment. Take the local industrializations like capital availability. We don't. In the past, we have two development banks, NDB and DFCC. Now they have converted themselves to other normal consumer banks, where the development banking has diminished. It's like just another bank. So that policy, that approach has always diminished the opportunities for an entrepreneur having a good idea for the access to capital. Then the land. Now the concerns on the environment, which is a good development in the country. People are concerned about the environment, and then active on the environment protection. That's good. But on the other hand, if the industrialization has to move forward, we need to have designated places like industrial parks and with central facilities like environmental pollution control, water treatments, and things like that. So one, availability of land, making available lands is another area that needs to be really facilitated. Actually, these things, not only the government, even the private sector can do it. There can be private sector industrial parks, but then for some reason it's not happening, right? So those are the areas that the government policymakers should look at. And then the transportation. Our transportation still, although we have a good road network, we have still very high transportation costs within the country. We have a railway system which is not being utilized properly. So using railway system to transport goods, say can be fish or even vegetable or any other commodity, any other. Now our company, we have seen the need for transporting bitumen, tar barrels from Colombo to Jaffna. We have seen the feasibility of doing it, using railway, but then we don't have facilities. When we speak to them, they are not that friendly to facilitate that and go for that. Bureaucracy. So if that can be sorted out, that can be a great assistance to the industry. And also the R&D facilities. Sri Lanka is, we have brilliant brains. If you go to NASA, we have so many people working at NASA from Sri Lanka, right? So, and we have by nature, by historically, we have a good human resource who are really put in innovations. So there is no good opportunity for them. There are some institutions like universities, and then, but we haven't seen productive things coming out from them. So and there are, if you take any sector, agricultural sector, like tea, coconut, rubber, even pepper has research stations. Cinnamon has a research station. So all those places are there, but then the outcome is not that giving a good contribution to bring up new industries and creating a commercial environment to for entrepreneurs to be facilitated. So those infrastructure is there. If you go to Coconut Research Station in Lunuvilla, they have all the infrastructure, staff, equipment to help the industry, but then they are just stagnated and doing some academic work, just confined to their personal gains. That's not their problem, that's not their fault. But then the government should facilitate them and get them to come out with new products, get into R&D and get involved with. There are some things happening. To take selected private sector is getting involved with the research work, and they are getting benefited. There are people who are working with Morocco University, I know, and we do work with Morocco University for new product development. So those things needs to be more streamlined and more sort of investor friendly, the entrepreneur friendly environment. And then the government red tapes and the identifying of good entrepreneurs. Now there is a situation where if you go to even Pradesh Sabha in the country, they think businessmen, entrepreneurs are a set of set of Javaram Karyas, So then that attitude needs to change. So people should, the government should have a way of identifying the good entrepreneurs and bad ones and give them an identity, group them, categorize them, or do something about it. And even the taxpayers, the same thing. There are people who are really good on the payments of taxes on time. They should be identified. So those are the areas I have seen as the problems in the industry and the strategies that could suggest to overcome. Yeah.
If you take the education and training in Sri Lanka, does it contribute to the industrialization in country, and does it generate a skilled workforce?
As we have heard from many sources, that Sri Lankan education is more centered on theory education, learning the theories, and sitting for exams from that you learn from books and then pass exams. And when it comes to performance, especially we have seen those people who go out of the country who join these organizations overseas, they are doing extremely well, right? So our people are really trainable. They have the real the IQ levels to grasp things and move forward and learn things very quickly. So that's the good side of it. But then on the curriculum in universities and other places, I think they should be more vocational centric, more towards giving them skills on the theoretical knowledge and the skills on practical world. I have seen some new courses coming up, like where they have tea industry, coconut industry, food science. Many of them now. I think the things are now changing, but definitely our education system has certain drawbacks. But then overall, I think they are more trainable in an organization. But I think the recent generation, I don't know who belong to that generation, they are more towards dealing with the equipment like computers and telephones, the mobile phones and the smart equipment. So they are more towards bit isolated, like they're not. I'm not blaming them. That's not a reason for to be blamed. But then that change is there. In the past, people were having more practical experiences, mixing up with people. Doing good things, doing not so good things. In groups in the universities, we have seen that. But then now people are isolated. So that aspect that has come for no fault of the current generation is a bit I should say negative on their growth, in the sense they are more self-centric. They look at their own self rather than working as a group. So those are the issues that we have seen, and I think they are a bit selfish. I'm not trying to blame them or anything, but this is the repercussions of certain developments in the environment. So those are the areas. But Apart from that, their knowledge and their understanding, their IQ levels, very much far better than who they were in the previous generations. The millennials, who are in the 20s now, they are really smart. They use smart equipment, and they themselves are very smart. So yeah, I mean, if you take the education, I think there are changes that need to take place, but nothing much to be worried on also. That's my understanding.
How about the economic condition now? What are the economic development opportunities in Sri Lanka that we have never used or available and has been ignored?
Yeah, as I mentioned to you earlier, we are a blessed country. Sri Lanka is having lots of good resources. Uh, Many things. When you go out of the country to another country, only you will see the difference of Sri Lanka. We have good quality water to begin with. We have rainfall in the country throughout the year. We have very good, beautiful ecological places to attract, tourists. And then we are blessed with things like gems and graphite, mineral sand, spices, and also we have a heritage of Hela Vedakama and many things. And I'm sure those areas will have better value in the time to come. We have seen that, even during the COVID, how people were looking for natural healing methods. So now the people have understood, and they have a better attraction towards them in the future. So those are the main opportunities we have in the country at the moment, and also our geographical location, the sea route, and the ports around the country. Those are highly valuable if we are to really use them for the gain, for the improvements in the country's manufacturing sector. So many things can be implemented. So yeah, so those are the main ones I see answer your question.
Yes. So next, we would like to know that earlier you have mentioned that one of the major factor which have slowed down this industrialization is government policy. So as an industry, as a manufacturing industry, as well as by considering the whole economy, what kind of assistance would you like to have to uplift the current position and to overcome this situation from the government? What kind of assistance would you like to have?
Yeah, in general, we need to have a government policy which is consistent. Now we have seen government policy changes with the change of the governments, which is extremely unhealthy for some industries to grow. And very recently, I think they banned the polythene industry. So this is good. This is, when you look at from the environmental protection point of view, is good. But then look what happens to that industry. They must be given a certain time period to phase out, their resources, so that they are treated as valuable industries, and they are the people who are working in those industries are given a fair chance of finding different employment. So like that, so the short-sighted policies in the country have really hampered the industrial development, and that is something that I think we all expect not to happen. And then the encouragement to the exports, because exports is the key area that we can. We have only very 22 million population. So our making a product for a small country like ours for internal use, internal market, is very limited. So it's always good to go to outside the world, and we have many products and skills and opportunities to do that, to go to using our own resources and exporting products to other countries. So that needs to be very realistically incentivized, helped, and they are encouraged to export. So it's not a question of blaming the government all the time, but then these are the problems. If you ask what are the problems, these are the situations I have gone through. And then provide capital. People have ideas. People want to use their skills and their entrepreneurship to convert to an industry. They don't have money, right? So then money should come. Should have some kind of a schemes to help them. I mentioned to you the development banks in Sri Lanka is not seen now. So something like that. Venture capital companies. The funding part is another area that needs to be sorted out. And then industrial parks. I mentioned two industrial parks. It's a big requirement. It can be private sector run industrial parks or government sector run. I know Colombo, Western Province, there's a huge shortage of land for industrialists to go and set up their factories, right? So because now people are not keen to go to a village and set up there, although there are so many industries in the village, but people prefer to go into an industrial park. So it's a good development, but then the government should create new industrial parks to facilitate them. And then high tech, the technology is another key area that we need to, if we are to do it. I know the coconut industry. We are competing with Philippines, we are competing with Indonesia, Thailand. So if we are to compete with them, and our coconut prices are the highest in the world, although we are the 5th largest coconut producing country in the world, our coconut prices are the highest. But then, of course, we are, as I told you earlier, we are blessed with a very, very unique taste. Because of that, most of the people want to work with Sri Lankans, and Sri Lankans are generally good in servicing the customers, so in terms of on-time deliveries and the quality, consistency. So people like to come even at a higher price. Of course, we are also at an advantage on the freight charges, right? So those advantages. But technology is a key thing that we need to attract. We need to bring foreign investments. So we need to have our own research and development. Give big consideration for the people who are coming up with new technology, encouraging them to go ahead with their innovation, supported them, and also this the industrial park concept and the technology that needs to go down to the village level. That can be done. The export encouragement can go down to the village level. We know there were some in the past under a certain government, there were export processing villages. So villages get together. They are very simple things like the eagle, the beetle, or very, very basic things, but then they did on certain instructions, on certain guidance of the knowledgeable people. The villagers got together and formed cooperatives or small associations to produce those products. They were benefited. The government, the country was benefited. Like that, there should be good schemes to encourage the ground level, especially in the export sector. And I mentioned to you value-added industries. We have the best mineral sand in the country, in the world. In our country, we generate, I think, about 150,000 metric tons every month, every year. But what we do is we just do little separations, some basic separations, and export it in basic raw form without any value additions. So those industries definitely can be improved, and the government should support, and then the entrepreneurs should be supported to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, in order to wind up the discussion, so I would like to thank you again for joining with us, sharing your knowledge and valuable experience, your suggestions with us on the matters we have discussed today. Thank you very much, sir.
Is your perspective to develop industrial sector in order to achieve economic development?
As an industrialist, we want to invest somewhere. Uh, so most of the things we have to import to Sri Lanka. So right now the biggest problem is the finding foreign exchange. Even for so the best thing what we can do is import substitution as well as trying to manufacture more of most of the things or do local things or finding our own solutions for certain things. Without relying totally on outside whatever they are doing, we are trying to mimic, or we should try to do innovate some things to get our things done locally. So that is one of the things. At the same time, I believe the government should give priority for the industries who bring foreign exchange. The earlier, of course, yes, the tourism was there and people who went out sent some money. But now the situation has changed. When that equation goes off, we have to find another way. For example, right now we have a lot of exporters who are doing local value addition for our spices and our local agriculture things. But when you go to export, there are no ships coming in like it used to be. So the prices have gone up 5 times, sometimes double in shipping. So they have to find solutions for that. So the closing down the economy continuously is not going to help. We have to find ways to work around the problems. One of the burning things in Sri Lanka, even if it is a industry, like for example, we say we have to rely on imports for even simple these sanitizers, isopropyl alcohol, but we are using commonly, which is very effective. So huge cost is going to import, and the prices have gone up 5-6 times compared to previously. So when we had that problem initially, when we were the company who was supplying oxygen to IDH hospital also. Then our people are scared to take the cylinders and bring it back. Those days they had only the cylinder supply, I believe. Then what? Then I also went there and I found out, yes, they don't. We need to disinfect. But no sooner we developed the method, the isopropyl alcohol went out from the market. So we had to find a substitute. That is, I knew the same effects are there in alcohol. And in Sri Lanka, we are manufacturing alcohol. So we had to discuss with the many health ministry and get the priority. Actually, when you want to do things, people are very helpful. So we got the permission from the request letter from the health ministry. They said that it is required. Then we spoke to the excise department and commissioner himself. I called around. Finally, I got this approval around 4 o'clock, and I said I have emergency like this, and I need to protect our people as well as it should not contaminate to the other hospitals. And the commissioner of excise department came on a Saturday on behalf of me and issued the letter. and we took that to the industry. Then they didn't have a mechanism to sell it to us. So he gave it free of charge. That was Royal Cask Distilleries chairman. So it's like that. So people all work hard, and when there is a requirement, they get together and do things. So if you go to the right person and right time, in the right reason, you can do anything. So that's how we manage. This is just a simple thing. Here, what we have done is we have substituted imported this thing. But recently, I saw a letter coming. You don't need to use this sanitizers. Probably that letter has come because we can't afford to import sanitizers. We don't have foreign exchange. So, but that is not the way to do it. Without not to import yeah, we don't have a solution if you don't have dollars, because nobody is giving free of charge. So then we have to find something locally to do that, and we are capable of doing that. This is just a simple example what I see where most of us can understand. Then we have to change the policies. We have to change the policies and give some license exclusively to do this kind of thing. And our people are very good at it because they know before us how to make kasipu in all the places. Basically, proper ethyl alcohol is kasipu. You can kasipu also taken as a good disinfectant. So people know how to make it, and if you properly quality control it and make proper use, we can locally substitute that import, which we are spending huge amount of money right now. So,
first we should understand what is the industry, right? I'll tell you in simple manner. The industry is companies, those who make finished products. So especially we can take manufacturers. So if we expect growth here, industry growth, there are few factors we can talk about. So the factors, if we divide into two sides, that one is industry, one for industry people, another one for outside the industry. So if you look at the first one, what industry people can do in order to gain this growth, they should focus on the quality of the product and quality of the service, and they should focus on research and development. They should focus on innovations. Also, most importantly, the manufacturers should go for international market, rather import market and local market. So those are the few factors we can talk about within the industry, right? And the other thing is, other side is outside the industry. So the factors that are affecting to industry growth controlled by these outside parties, right? So those are out of control from the industry people. So main as a main body here, I can tell with you is the political structure. I'll take that one to talk in detail. So the political structure in Sri Lanka is changing time to time. With political changes, we see the policy changes as well. Policy, and they make some new laws as well. So what will happen to other organizations under the political structure in Sri Lanka? We see the political structure dominate the control the economic sector, right, and other organizations as well. So it's a major factor, it's a serious factor we should consider in changing, like other developed countries. Otherwise, we have to expect this developing concept every year. So it should be this political concept or the political structure should be independent. That should not affect to other with changes. With political changes, it should not affect to private sector. So the mechanism should be built, right? If these political, they should initiate actually, right? As it is the top, they should bring law. They should after bringing law, they should make form a strong body. Nobody can change, right? That the system cannot change, right? Then if they want to make a change to that system, they have to go through a process, right? So then if we can if this existing political system can initiate that kind of concept, these industrial people will be happy. If not, we can expect sudden policy changes, right? So as industrial people, do we like it? No, we don't like, right? So those major changes should be informed in advance, right? If not, they should make a change and they should tell we are not going to change this for 5 years or 2 years, right? They should give a word, right? And the industry people, right, can rely on it, right? That's how Europe countries the process goes, right? So here what will happen overnight, they make policy changes. Sometimes they bring laws which affect to the economic policies. So the people, those who make policies or practice, right, policies, they have to accept, right? They have to tell same thing to these industry people, right? Are they happy? No. Especially the foreign investors, they are not coming to Sri Lanka, right? They going for other countries, those who have professional systems, right? So we have to address that macro element, and we can talk about other the systems as well, central bank and the economic policies here we practice, and the education system here, right? All those changes should come from the top. Top is controlled by existing political structure, whoever comes. I think that is the major issue. We should address that one, and we should change that. Otherwise, we cannot expect continuous industrial growth like other developed countries is having. So that's my opinion, and thank you very much for inviting to discuss. If there are time, we could talk about other macro elements as well, but I talked only one factor which is very serious, right, when it comes to industrial growth. Thank you very much.
At the end of our interweaving segment, we would like to give a brief summary from the point of views from our resource personals as well as our team. Therefore, to develop Sri Lankan economy, we believe to activate sustainable government policy, including proper structure, development of skilled human capital with the changes of current educational system. Sri Lanka should develop as a transportation hub to get full advantages from strategic location. Enhance facilities for research and development centers, fully utilization of foreign investment as required, development of agricultural sector, use of modern technology, That's the end of our presentation. Thank you for being with us.